Oh, hello, Internet people. You've entered the right password and landed here at That Game Rules, a wannabe gaming podcast where we break down an old retro game and all the pop culture that surrounds it. I'm your host, Scuba Steve. Thanks for stopping in today. I'm just a father, husband, gamer, occasional lover of K-pop. Just a guy wanting to talk games. Thanks for giving this podcast a chance. Today, it's Mega Man Day. We're talking Mega Man 3, Mega Man I. Mega Man's getting in his groove now. He's getting some new moves. We've got new robot masters. He's got a new best friend robot dog, and his box art is less terrible. We'll get into all of that, but first, a show breakdown. Here at TGR, we go back in time and talk just a whole bunch of retro stuffs. Then we'll go over the game vitals, the box art, characters, levels, music, check out some comments and reviews, part walkthrough, part memories, all nonsense. At the end, we'll give this game some awards, slap a ranking on it, and hop on Good Boy Rush and just fly off into the sunset. Do you like what you hear? Do you hate my voice? Let me know. Just email the show at thatgamerules@gmail.com. Tell me what games you want to talk about, and we'll just keep growing this dumb podcast until Nintendo hears me using all their music and sends their squad of lawyers after me. Because I've got a lot of music. This is just going to be a Mega Man fun-loving. We got tons of music. It's just a celebration of Mega Man today because I love that guy. It's such a different style of platforming compared to our Marios back in the day. We'll get into all that. What have I been up to? Before we get into the time warp this year, it ain't slowing down. So it's like, when do you guys squeeze in your gaming when there is just like no time in life? I'll tell you, I game a lot on my lunch break, at work, in the shower, while doing my taxes. I mean, you gotta try and fit in gaming wherever you can, even like 10-15 minutes, like I said, like on a lunch break at work or something, just to reset my brain. The Switch is good for that, but I got one of those tiny little like fake Game Boy type of things with just a bunch of games loaded on there. It's like super small. The Switch is good, portable, but I mean, I want something that'll really fit in my pocket and I can play just NES and Game Boy games on. So I like to do that on my lunch breaks at work because I'm just too busy, just a lot of hours. In general, regular gaming, the Switch 2 is kind of disappointing. I mean, I'm waiting for that big Mario game, that big Zelda game. They're all coming. Bonanza, I haven't got to play yet, which, I mean, it looks great, and I'm sure I'm going to love that. But like Mario Kart World was kind of disappointing. I thought I'd be addicted to that, but I still feel like I'd rather jump on like Mario Kart 8. Is that the Switch one? Whatever one, just all those old tracks and stuff. But other than that, I want to try Sonic Racing because guess who's in Sonic Racing? Freaking Mega Man, and guess what his go-kart is? It's freaking Rush. And they're bringing Ninja Turtles in there. I mean, Mario Kart better watch out because you got Sonic Team Racing, whatever it is, Sonic Cross Worlds Racing. It's creeping up there, and I'm hearing a lot of things about it. We'll talk some gaming memories real quick because this is just the old school. This is the Nintendo. You're sitting on the carpet. You've got the big CRT, the big old tube TV in front of you. Maybe it's sitting on the old broken wood frame one, as it was back, as we used to do back in the day. And I kind of was thinking of just CRTs and how I miss them. For Nintendo games, for the old games, and a lot of the diehard retro community is all about the CRTs. There's a lot of technical things there that I don't understand as far as scan lines and what LCDs and OLEDs and newer TVs do to these older games. I mean, especially games on like the 64 and stuff. So it's the equivalent. It's the same with like movies, a good old fuzzy 80s VHS on like a CRT. versus your like HD, and you're seeing all these flaws that are like very obvious, and maybe some special effects flaws don't look so good in HD, but they looked fine on the CRTs. So I was just thinking about those missing CRTs, missing the way they glowed when you shut them off in the dark still for a little bit. You could put your hand on there and like shock people with the fuzziness. It was still like warm to the touch. Made that sweet aggressive thunk noise when you turned them on, like a bass. You could feel it in the floor. It's just the good old days. So I definitely own this game. I definitely loved it. We're going to talk about all that once we get past our 1990 time warp. So get that baby up to 88.
Have enough road to get up to 88.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Right, 1990. I got a good sponsor today. It's almost, some of those TV shows we grew up with almost kind of replaced our parents sometimes. And, this guy had a show, and I watched it a lot growing up. And occasionally you'd skip school, and this was the education you'd get watching TV at home.
What are you, some kind of freak? Hey, shut up!
Okay, come on.
I'll kick you.
Bring it on, you skanky! All right, come on. No one talks to my son like that. It's okay, Scott. You mother... You're burning your mother's...
Jerry.
All right, you're burning your mother's...
Classic AM television back in the day. Jerry Springer, the king, the top dog of the AM trash TV. That clip was Jerry Springer. He was in it, but that was from the Austin Powers movie. If you heard Mike Myers in there. So, yep, the king. He was just top dog. First of all, I'm white trash, so I relate to a lot of the people on that show. So I feel like I can discuss them. Guests throwing things from insults to chairs. Special shout out to Steve the Muscle, Steve the security guard, if you remember him. Jerry Springer featuring some crazy episodes, some classics like The Man Who Married a Horse and The Kung Fu Hillbilly and, quote, I'm happy I cut my legs off, unquote. We also had the dominatrix duo in the family and the clan frontation. So just a lot of weird episodes between them. Jenny Jones, who was the other one? Maury, he was more of like the You Are the Father shows back then. Jerry Springer, he knew what he was doing. He knew what the show was. He didn't hide any of it. The set was designed to look like a sewer because they were just representing the trash of our country. And people just loved to get on there and talk about their trash lives. Shout out to my sister Kelly. I know you listen to this too. She went, I don't even know, she might even skip school back in the day. I think it was her and her friend Tiffany. But they went down to Chicago for the audience in the Jenny Jones show. And she got to stand up and yell at some skank or something on the stage. And we have that recorded on a VHS around here somewhere. So she was lucky enough, they do the audience call on just so audiences could yell at the people on stage and start fights. So again, it was either that or Price is Right. If you were calling off school that day, you're homesick, then you got Bob Barker and Jerry Springer just bringing you up in the world, dropping their knowledge on you. We'll keep moving along here. Shout out some movies. The Rescuers Down Under. Is that the one? That is the one, I think, that had, because some of the Disney stuff back then had the cover of The Little Mermaid and the Lion King clouds spelling out sex. And I'm trying to think of all these Disney innuendos and subliminal messages they used to or claim they were back then. We try to find them. But the Rescuers Down Under literally had one of the animators cut in a picture as they're in the background. They're flying past buildings. There's a topless woman not even a cartoon, like a literal picture in one of the windows the animators had put in. Disney had taken it out in later releases and stuff like that. But that was an animator having fun. I think to this day they still don't know who the topless woman is or where she came from. But yeah, those things were weird. Adults are weird, and they were doing weird stuff to kids' movies. Moving on, TMNT. Ghost Dad. Ernest Goes to Jail. I wanted to grab some Ernest clips. I will someday. I love that guy. We'll talk more Ernest someday. And shout out to Home Alone, of course. Just screaming 90s. TV shows. We got Dragon Ball Z. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures, the cartoon. And as I keep finding these like one season shows of like movies and things that just got cartoons, the one that I always think of, and it might have been more than one season, was the Beetlejuice cartoon. Like I watched the crap out of that growing up, and it's just they just take a weird concept of an hour and a half movie and stretch just 50 hours of cartoon stories into it that really it was like in that Beetlejuice cartoon, it's like Lydia's in the underworld with Beetlejuice and their buddies and stuff. So if they can just take that name and make something else with it, then we're probably buying it and watching it. We've also got Tiny Toon Adventures and another classic on the old Disney lineup, some Disney afternoon cartoons. That is right. That's Tailspin. That's a pretty decent Nintendo game too. It's like an airplane kind of shooter game there. So just more classic Disneys. I was a Disney kid. Before we break down some more 90s stuff, let's talk some 90s catchphrases. And I'm going to make some young listeners, if they're listening to this, cringe as I talk about your current slang words while you guys are out there cooking and everything slaps and you're rocking your sweet fits with your nice Riz and your 6s and 7s and all that crap, and how I'm trying not to be a pick-me and all these other weird words. You guys can have all those, but let me tell you about the popular 90s catchphrases that my nerd self uses to this day. We have got As If, classic from Clueless, Da Bomb, Talk to the Hand, Booyah, Whatever, and Chillin' Like a Villain. You got All That and a Bag of Chips. This stuff just sounds like so made up. We were saying that crap back then. Gag Me with a Spoon. Just a couple there. From TVs and movies back in the day, we had You Got It, Dude. Classic line from Michelle on Full House. We've got... there was a doll that talked. That's still around my mom's house here somewhere. We had a Michelle doll. I think I might even had like an Urkel doll, the old pull the string, make them talk things. And when those batteries start to go, those things sound demonic, and I love it. We've also got Dope, your classic Homer Simpson signature catchphrase. Made it in like the encyclopedia or the dictionary or something as well. You got Did I Do That? That's the old Steve Urkel catchphrase from Family Matters. I was always jealous because I was a nerd named Steve too. So I was jealous when Steve Urkel changed his, got into his sweet Stefan Urkel persona. And I'm like, that's going to be me someday. And then you've got I'll Be Back, Arnie's famous line from the Terminator series. So these things, they just kind of evolve. I mean, it's probably dated. I don't know if you hear this episode in a couple years and you're like, what does he mean by 6 and 7? I don't know either, but they're all saying it, throwing their hands in the air, and just like Grandpa Simpson, the things that I used to think were cool changed, and one day it'll happen to all you too. So let's talk some toys. I pulled some board games from the 90s. Crocodile Dentist. If I'm mistaken, because I know the recent one, or they remake board games. They make them cheaper, smaller, whatever they do. I feel like they were just bigger back in the day when we were kids and more intricate. And unless I'm wrong, because I don't do enough research, I thought the original Crocodile Dentist back in the day, the teeth came out. Nowadays they don't. They're just stuck in there. But I thought we were actually pulling teeth out. But I could be wrong. Magic the Gathering, Mousetrap, always love that game. Don't Wake Daddy, I remember that. It was like a dad. It was like a scare kind of pop up. A dad in bed in the middle, and you got to sneak around while he's sleeping. I think you're getting to the fridge or something. And the two, I love them. Dream Phone and Mall Madness. If I could just play those games again with the family, if I could find some of those old copies, I think that'd be pretty sweet. Mall Madness, especially, just this thing that doesn't exist anymore. Play that game. Also in 1990, we had the Consumer Electronics Show, and it was a big one. I love all those old shows, the old E3s, all these things that don't exist anymore. It was where they did all the releases, all pre-internet. So at the CES in 1990, Sega revealed the prototype for the Game Gear. 35 titles were announced for the Game Boy because that had just came out. Codemasters revealed an audio CD player compatible with the NES. Where is that thing at? I don't know if I've ever seen that. And Codemasters, also Comerica, revealed the Power Pack, later known as the Game Genie. The first Funko Land opened in Minnesota. I don't know if those are around anymore, but the old pre-GameStop resale stores there. And on March 8th, the big one, the Nintendo World Championships begin. We'll talk about that someday. If you ever see those World Championship carts out there for $10,000 plus, also just reminds me of like the Wizard movie as far as these big release party presentation things they used to do back then. But also, before we got out of the time warp, a couple of games competing against our boy Mega Man. You had Super Mario World, Bugs Bunny Birthday Blowout. That's an old puzzle game on the NES. Alien Storm, the terrible NES game Ghostbusters. It's like this, like, look at Ghostbusters versus Mega Man 3 if you want to see what the Nintendo system could limp to the barn with, or what it could shine with, what it was really capable of doing. We had Metal Gear 2, Solid Snake. We had Dr. Mario. He went to school. He got a degree, so he's off doing a whole bunch of other stuff. And we'll move on. It's Mega Man, so you know we're going to talk about some box art.
Now, I know you love video games, and I asked the clerk which is the one every boy wants.
You got me. Oh, yeah.
All right, we are talking Mega Man 3 for the Nintendo, and finally the goofy box art is gone. I mean, kind of. It's like the in-between before they went on the full how Mega Man cartoony like should look as far as the sprite you're playing. So we got Sparkman on the cover. We got Wily's Castle. It's looking pretty good. It's still kind of goofy. It's still, I mean, Mega Man 4, they really get there. The issue is the Japanese box art with their Rockman. If you don't know, he's called Rockman over in across the pond there. Although I like a lot of what they do in Japan with Mega Man. He seems to be a lot more popular there. But I do like the Mega Man. I like the the Mega Man over the Rockman name. But the Rockman art is a lot better. And go take a look at the Mega Man 3. It looks like the title screen for a sweet Mega Man cartoon. So we got the Shaft. I still don't get what... It makes me wonder, like, what does the Japanese culture think of, like, America, or at least back then, the way they would dumb down games for us, the way we got weird box art, like from the original Mega Mans, because they wanted Mega Man to have a gun and not his blaster. But then in Japan, they got the sweet Mega Man box art. Anyway, go check those out, because it's like the U.S. still tried to go realistic, but the Japan art is better, and the font's better too. So take that. Let's talk some history and facts. I just love digging into these old games. Like, I learned so much from me you're talking 5, 6 years old. I'm just playing games. So to go back and learn some of this stuff, I like it. Besides just playing the games, now I'm learning, and I'll share some of that with you. As far as you, listener, whether you've played these games, whether you're interested, whether you're just at work trying to kill some time, or driving trying to kill some time, I got a lot of music to play today. We're just going to keep talking Mega Man. I love watching some of the pro Mega Man runs. It's like watching like a math equation come to life. Like the way these people can perfect where Mega Man is, where he is shooting, when to swap weapons. It's like this perfect gameplay, plus the music, and it's like watching like a ballet, like with a symphony behind it. There's just this like flow and perfection And it's not, it's not just random gaming. It's not watching somebody on COD being good with their reflexes. This is like a memorization. When people can perfect these platformers, they perfect the glitches. I really appreciate it. I admire it. Watching me play is more like watching like a ballet if everyone was drunk. And halfway through the performance, they threw like 30 feral cats on stage. And then, it's no symphony. It probably sounded more like the theme to like Pee-wee's Playhouse.
And pull yourself up a chair. Let the fun begin. It's time to let down your hair. TV's short excited. Those friends have been invited. The wacky TV's Playhouse. There's a crazy rhythm coming from Puppet Land. What's that? Dirty to a cool cat, tricky baby on a puppet band.
Did you guys have that on your bingo card this morning when you woke up? Did you have a space filled out for I'm going to hear the Pee-wee theme song at some point? Well, then cross that box off, ladies and gentlemen. So Mega Man 3 is a 1990 action game developed and published by Capcom. We love Capcom. For the Nintendo Entertainment System, it is the third installment of the original Mega Man series and was originally released in Japan on September 28, 1990, followed later in North America and the European regions. Taking place after the events of Mega Man 2, the plot follows the titular hero as he helps his creator, Dr. Light, and a supposedly former enemy, Dr. Wily, collect parts for a peacekeeping robot by defeating several robot masters that have gone haywire. So we'll get into the story. The game itself, like old Nintendo games, doesn't give you much story. There's some story in the manual, but it's weird. Like the intro of this game, it kind of, I guess, fails as far as we'll talk about this game. It was quite rushed, and it kind of shows at the beginning with just kind of your blank title screen with your Mega Man title. Like even Rockman had a Mega Man sprite picture there. Mega Man 2 was cool because it's like Mega Man on the building, like standing there at the title screen. And also, as great as that title music is that you heard at the beginning of the show, it takes a good 20 seconds to really get into it. And if you're just hitting start, you're not going to see it. And it would have been nice to just have a couple of screens, a story. But like I said, it was rushed, and still a great game for being rushed. We'll talk about the story in a little bit. Let's just keep talking some facts here. It's history lesson time. Gather around, children. Sit on your little mats. Grab your chocolate milk. So, the third season of Captain N, the Game Master, featured an episode loosely adapting this game's plot titled A Tale of Two Dogs. The episode's story had Dr. Wily, after Mega Man and Kevin had collected the energy elements, kidnapping Rush and Duke, who was Kevin's dog, to keep them distracted while he stole Gamma. Since the episode was only 11 minutes long, several elements of the game were left out, most notably Proto Man and most of the Robot Masters. Of all the Robot Masters to feature in that cartoon episode, Top Man was the only one to appear due to Mega Man and Kevin going to his world last. So if you remember me talking about Captain N, that's about Kevin and playing and going into playing with other video game characters. And yeah, they pretty much had a Mega Man 3 episode. A couple more facts here. Mega Man 3 is the fourth highest selling title in the Mega Man franchise and Capcom's 54th highest selling title ever. There were a total of 50,000 boss character submissions for the game. I'm going to talk about that later. That's one of the things I never knew. For like all these Mega Man games, for the bosses, they were contests. Like where people would draw characters, write their moves down, send them in. I don't know if I ever did that. That's all I did was draw Mega Man characters. I'd come up with their moves. I did the same thing with like Mortal Kombat characters. I'd come up with their moves, their fatalities. I'd have whole like stat sheets and drawings for all these made up video game characters because I was a nerd and I love it. So I might have even tried. Maybe that's where I read that and started drawing them as well. But I just like to draw them. And I mean, Snake Man, he was like the start of it. I just love Snake Man, Sprite, and some of the other ones in this game, because between 2 and 3, they're always the ones that, like, which one is better as far as 2 or 3, but they're the ones that seem to get most talked about, and they're the 2 that I owned. So keep going. In the last issue of the gaming magazine, Nintendo Power, released on December 2012, the last issue of Nintendo Power. Makes me sad. Mega Man 3 was ranked the 47th best game released on the Nintendo platform ever, so not bad, top 50 for Mega Man 3. This is the only Mega Man game to feature the question mark cans, which turn into a random item when shot. So as these games go on, they try new things, some don't work, but eventually Mega Man, I mean, the formula is all still kind of there with the Robot Masters, but it's good for them to try new things. This is the first game in which Mega Man performs a final move by running to the center of the room and jumping, where he obtains the defeated robot's special weapon before leaving the room. So that's a kind of an iconic little jump. And the power, you can see the power kind of go into Mega Man. This is the only game in the original series that does not have a water/ice themed Robot Master, and also one of the 2 games in the original series that does not have a heat/fire Robot Master. So again, just trying other things. You can always assume things like a fire boss, an ice boss, a water boss, an air boss, all these things, but as these Mega Man games go on, they really start to get creative. This game was originally planned to have an opening sequence that would have explained the story presented in the game's manual. However, the sequence was never fully finished and was cut out of the game with parts of it hidden in the game's files. So the rushed game, it's like they did have plans for that, but it just didn't happen, or at least in time. Whereas like Mega Man 2 was such like a love letter of a game to then come, and then Mega Man 3 gets rushed. But they had a lot of internal issues, people leaving, people coming in and taking over stuff. So they managed to work through it. We're going to look at the manual a little bit. We'll talk a little bit Mega Man 2 as well. But while we're here, I pulled a lot of music today. So let's just take a little music break and we'll get into that manual. Love just having this music is just in my head all week, and I love it. So the manual gives you kind of a slight kind of story. So it says, calling Mega Man, come in please. Mega Man, we need you. So this is all in quotes. This is Dr. Light here. We're down to the wire on our peacekeeping project. We've got to get those last energy crystals or we can't finish it. Dr. Wily is here now, too. Yes, he's finally found his sanity. He knows where the crystals are. They're in the mining worlds, but we can't get to them. The robots are running amok and they're destroying everything. You've got to get there, Mega Man, and get those crystals. You'll have to face some pretty mean metal. Expect the worst. Is Rush there with you? Give him a bolt to chew on and tell him it's from us. What's that? We must be getting static. Sounds like you said woof. Mega Man, get to those mining worlds pronto. Grab the crystals and stop whoever's in charge. He's one lunatic guy. Gosh, who could that be? This is Dr. Light, over and out. So that's all your story there. That's all you need. You're Mega Man. There's robots. Let's go get them. In this case, it's kind of like spoiler alert, Dr. Wily isn't working very well. So he's like pretending to be good now. Him and Dr. Light are working together, trying to get these energy crystals, and they send these robots to the mining worlds to get them, and something's going wrong, so you got to go discover what it is. Movement-wise, you got your basic, your nice NES brick. So you got your left, right, your up or down. You got jump, you got fire and weapons, but our main addition here in this game is slide. So it gives you a new move here. You push down an A and you slide across, for kind of a small, limited amount of time. But it adds a lot to the game. It adds a lot to how you can avoid enemies and projectiles and all that stuff faster, because you can just slide away from it real quick. Let's break down the story just with a little bit more detail. All the spoilers are here. I'm going to give you the whole story real quick before we get into the Robot Masters. In the 21st century, the world enjoys a brief period of peace thanks to the efforts of the super robot Mega Man. Dr. Wily claims he is a changed man, reforming and teaming up with Dr. Light to develop a giant peacekeeping robot named Gamma. It was the lifelong dream of Dr. Light to create a giant robot to protect and serve world peace. With their research almost complete, all that remained was to combine 8 energy elements that were scattered about uncharted planets and bestow them to Gamma. For some reason, the newest robot masters, created by both doctors to mine the energy elements, suddenly have gone crazy. Dr. Light needs the 8 energy elements that the robots are protecting for the creation of Gamma. Thus, when Mega Man learns about the incident, he and Rush set out for the uncharted planets to stop the robots and retrieve the energy elements. Along his quest, Mega Man meets the mysterious Proto Man. Unknown to Mega Man, Proto Man is his brother, spoiler alert, and he appears at times to challenge or help Mega Man. When Mega Man returns to Dr. Light's laboratory, he discovers Dr. Wily has stolen Gamma, and after receiving the last energy element to challenge Mega Man and Dr. Light once again, planning to use Gamma to rule the world. Mega Man goes to Wily Castle to stop Wily. After Mega Man succeeds in stopping Wily and Gamma, the Wily Castle begins to collapse, and both Mega Man and Dr. Wily are buried by debris. Proto Man arrives in time to save Mega Man, but it appears that it is too late for Dr. Wily and he meets his end. However, the Wily UFO is visible far in the distance during the ending sequence, hinting that he survived. Oh, what a mystery. So he makes it. That's, your story in a nutshell, but I mean, that's not what the game is about. We're not here to talk story and have character development. We're just here to get some weapons and blast some robots. So speaking of these robot masters, designed by the fans, the contest decided the 8 robot masters, again, had 50,000 entries. Like, what were some of those like? Some 5-year-olds like me just sending in some crazy drawings. I love it. Some runner-up entries received a pencil case and an ID card as a prize. 40 participants also had their names listed in the special thanks from the ending credits. Similar to Mega Man 2, the staff could not wait for the submissions to start development, so some placeholder bosses were used while planning out the stages. Go check out those sketches online, because they have them on a lot of these Mega Man sites, the actual sent-in sketches versus the drawings and sprites they came up with for the game, and they're really cool. Because, I'm an artsy guy, so check those out. But that is one of the main things I learned about Mega Man games themselves, besides contestants designing the robots, was that, of course, they had to develop these stages before they knew what the robots were. And that's why you see a lot of disconnected stages, or stages like Top Man stage that has tons of plants and things that are maybe they were just, they make all these levels, kind of figure out what boss might fit there, and then they kind of add some sprites or elements to that level. Like the Needle Man level is not very needle-like, but then they'll just kind of have needle spike things coming out of the ceiling, and then they have porcupine sprite enemies that shoot needles. So it's still cool the way they then go back and connect all those things. So we'll talk, some straight robot masters. We'll go down the list here. So Mega Man, he's fighting cool bosses like Gemini Man and Snake Man. I'm an adult, so I'm fighting people like Insurance Man with the power to raise my deductible, or Social Anxiety Man with the ability to make me have awkward conversations in public. So those are some of the guys I have to fight in my daily life. Not as cool as some of these Mega Man bosses. So we'll get into it. I played that. Let's play a little more music because I got it. So listen to this. So if you're saying to yourself, if in your head you're saying the sentence, I think he's playing too much Mega Man music, then this might not be the podcast for you. So we're going to talk, there's always, certain paths to take as far as the robot masters, the directions. Of course, every special weapon you get is weak against certain bosses. We also have all the rush kind of power-ups in play as well. But again, we'll just kind of go level by level, and I'll just kind of talk about whatever I can think of from those particular levels. I've played this game plenty. So we're going to start, we'll do the flow that seems to be the most common, at least as I go through my breakdown here. So we're going to start with Magnet Man. It's a metal looking level. Some of these may have just, so maybe some of the levels were later because they do match fairly well in some aspects. I like it, in this case, Magnet Man's does because it's real metal looking. There's like cords and wires everywhere. You also get like Proto Man sprinkled throughout this game. So and this is one of them, he'll jump down. You just got to fight him for a little bit. And he's just kind of the mysterious character throughout the game. I don't know how pitchy Proto Man's whistle hits when I play that button, but I like it. So if I like it, then you're going to like it too. So he appears, the mysterious guy. I mean, I told you already, he's your brother. You don't even learn that till the credits. It's kind of like a shock at the end. I love the old shocks, the old surprises of Nintendo games and what they could pull off there. So you're using your slide in the boss fight here with Magnet Man, and just in general, you're going to use your slide a lot. If you know what you're doing, or if you want, it's there. You should be. Whether or not people like the additions of things like the slide, and in Mega Man 4 we get the charge up blaster that essentially changes the way Mega Man moves, and essentially just holding down B every time you play Mega Man for the rest of your life now. But there's the one part of the magnet level that if we're playing first, we don't have Jet Rush, but that's the disappearing blocks. I can hear that sound in my head of these blocks appearing, if you know what I'm talking about there. But it's a memorizing pattern, and it's the kind of thing that is frustrating. But you make it through those 4 or 5 screens of these disappearing blocks, and you get that dopamine hit. This is like the sense of accomplishment in platforming here, because it's challenging, but it's forgiving as well. It's because it's got the pattern, it's got like the sound cues, so you can kind of hear the things as it's going. Of course, if you got Rush Jet, you can just fly across the whole thing. But just the way it plays, the platforming, it's really, I can't even. So the first part is it's almost like a tutorial as you go, because your first kind of block section is your overland, and then your next one is your overland, I think, with like a magnet that starts to suck you and move you on the blocks. And then the next one, there's no ground, those kind of things where you're jumping over open space. So that's really cool. And that stays with a lot of the Mega Man games. So beat Magnet Man, get yourself Magnet Missile, and we are going to move on to Hard Man. Some of these names may not be as creative, but I mean, they got to keep them coming. And this level is cool. It is your classic Mega Man construction level. I don't know if everyone else feels that with the rock, I guess because he is Rock Man, like the rock boulder industrial construction. The same way I kind of feel like those little construction hat guys are almost like the Goombas of Mega Man games. The little three pellet shooting guys with just a construction helmet. So I feel like that's just kind of a theme of Mega Man. You also get Proto Man again in this level. And Hard Man is just a big beer keg looking guy. And now that we're in the actual, playthrough, the weaknesses, the boss fights become, there's not a lot of strategy here. If you're doing like a no special power, then you're going to have to find some strategy on these bosses. But in this case, once you find what weapon is weak for whatever boss, then you're just making it through levels and making it through these bosses. The point is, I have breakdowns in front of me, and I've played the game for years, and you would learn these things on the playground and all this stuff and Nintendo Power. But back then, just learning boss orders is kind of what the game was about, and that's where you'd sink all your time making it through a level to a boss, and just realizing your Buster or whatever special weapons you have are just doing nothing, and you're like, this is not the right level. And then the same thing, you kind of go in levels and you see things that you may not have access to that you'll get later. So that's kind of the formula of it. It's just finding that boss order. So again, we'll beat Hard Man, and you're going to get the Hard Knuckle. That is one of the most important items in the game. So we'll talk controls real quick. We did talk controls item-wise. In this game, you got your basic, your small and your big pellets, your small and your big special power refills. You got your, I always like Mega Man's 1-up, just his face. That's like, that might be a tattoo I get someday. So you got those. You got your E-tanks, are a little more forgiving in this game. You can stack 9 of them, and I believe they stay in your inventory even when you game over. So it's a little more forgiving. They also, I mentioned before, have the question mark tanks, which mostly contain just like some health and stuff. You might only occasionally get like an E-tank or a free guy. Again, the only game that has those, so they probably just were like, meh, we'll just move on from that. But let's keep going in bosses. Let's move on to Top Man. This is the one I was mentioning, and it's like a jungle electric looking level, but it's still cool. You got like lights flashing on and off in the background. They do a lot of detail in these levels, which is what I like. Look at like a Mega Man 1 screenshot versus like a Mega Man 3. They're packing more in the foreground, more in the background. They put stuff into like walls, whereas Mario would just be a whole kind of brick layer. They put other things like windows and screens and lights and all these things everywhere in the game. Top Man levels got some weird kitty cat enemies throwing yarn at you and stuff. More like your hard hat enemies. And so you beat Top Man. He was the one guy I could just always beat as a kid. So I usually started with Top Man. I was not starting Magnet Man. I was not good at jumping across those disappearing blocks. So I was definitely starting Top Man and then hoping for the best from there. But beat Top Man and you get Top Spin. And that is a weird, it's like it's kind of useless. There's some bosses and points where it's just like, it's almost like a 2-shot. It's super powerful, but not in any kind of general use. It's the only, I appreciate that they made a move, like a physical move. So Mega Man like spins into enemies as opposed to shooting something. But it didn't work too well, but I appreciate the effort. Next, we're going to move on to Shadow Man. And what do you think of when you think of Shadow Man? A bunch of lava. So it's one of those levels that maybe they were thinking they were going to pick a fire boss of some sort. But there's lots of lava in that level. And it's also got the cool, like little grenade enemies. I don't know why I appreciate those little sprites. It's just a grenade running at you, blows up. So it's like, I think that's something I should avoid if you see a grenade running at you. It's also got the light bulb mechanic that is kind of common now in Mega Man games, whether you're turning lights on or turning lights off in a level. It's got that kind of thing, which is cool. It's just like the level's gone, and then you're taking some more leaps of faith as Mega Man and just jumping across black screen and hoping you land somewhere. So you beat him. Shadow Man's got another Proto Man level or screen, so you're constantly fighting Proto Man. And you get you beat him, you get the Shadow Blade, which is like a kind of a dumbed down metal blade, because that was from Mega Man 2. That was way OP. And you get Rush Marine. So you start the game with Rush Coil, which is like your big spring. You know, Rush will change into a spring and you can jump. In this case, Rush Marine gives you a little underwater submarine, which you can only use on like 1 level maybe, or 2 if you wanted, but not a lot of uses. I find Rush Coil to be odd, that it's like you get it right off the bat, you have it. So then like, what is the point then of making these jumps where you then need to just pull out Rush? It's like you might as well just put a ladder there. I just feel like it can be kind of pointless. I guess if you use it too much and then you're out of your rush energy, but then you're just kind of dead end at a jump you can't make until maybe you can find a refill, or I guess kill yourself and restart. I just find it weird that you didn't like obtain Rush Coil from a boss, so that then you're like, oh, I can do this level to get that free guy now. Whereas instead you're just like, I'm just going to get that free guy. So anyway, I just found that kind of weird. We talked about like the level design and like the contest, but man, the boss sprites themselves are just like part of this game. You got the portraits of their faces, you know, on any of these games. So you always get to start that and kind of be like, you kind of get your feel for what your enemies are going to be just looking at that screen. But just the sprites themselves, always just kind of bigger than Mega Man. They're looking threatening. How does their name tie into like their design of the sprite? So I think it's really cool. And again, I think it's cool they had all those. Imagine just getting 50,000 ideas for sprites and getting to just weed through those and pick them out. It just sounds like I'd spend a weekend doing that. Let's keep moving. I'll play a little more music. Keep it going. I'm losing track of music. Maybe I played that one already, but again, if you're complaining I'm playing too much Mega Man music, then we gotta work on some stuff. We'll move along here. What do we got? We got Spark Man. That's a cool digital kind of looking level. Lots of sparks. That connects pretty well. Yeah, it's like a computer kind of garbage dump. It's kind of got that thing. You're avoiding falling chunks of garbage and stuff. Not really super like Spark Man electricity like, but you got spikes on the this is kind of different with some of the platforming where it's got the spikes on the ceiling and the platforms that shoot up. So you're doing kind of a different avoiding what's on the top as opposed to avoiding like falling off in the bottom. And Spark Man's just got like a great sprite. He's got like the two freaking like electric cow prong things he's sparking together. It's like real intimidating. I like his little kind of move right before you start fighting him. So you beat him, you get Spark Shock. It's pretty useless, but let's move on to one of the best sprites in the game, Snake Man. His level must have been developed kind of, I think, like along with him, because it's a very snake-like level. And one of the cool things about Mega Man itself is all their little mini bosses, and I don't even mean like the Wily Castle ones. I mean just the regular level. All of a sudden, there's a huge sprite. Even like the kitty cats from the Top Man level. Snake Man's got big snake heads. You're jumping up and down on the ground. The snake part's like moving until you kill the snake. So it's got like I just love all those. I love a big intimidating sprite. It's a pause from your platforming to where you're almost in like a little mini boss fight. So I appreciate that. It's like a big kind of sewer level Snake Man, which is appropriate. So you defeat him and you get kind of a newer power-up, kind of unique. You get Search Snake. You shoot out a bunch of little snakes. They'll follow kind of the ground and the wall and these kind of things. So it's kind of different. But I also love that new weapon music you get every time you pick up a cool new weapon. Got Search Snake and the colors too. Like I love the color palette, the palette swaps with Mega Man and stuff. Let's talk speed runs real quick because I looked those up. The any percent I could find on a speed run on Mega Man 3 is 33 minutes, but the real cool one is the any percent Buster only. That's at 47 minutes. So there's people speed running this game using just the Buster. And like I've said before, I admire that kind of stuff, and I wish I had time to join that community. You know, maybe someday, maybe I'll be like a 70-year-old speed runner. That sounds like a dream retirement for me, actually. So let's look into. Oh, and they also in speed running, I saw a guy who wanted to do like just an 8-stage robot category, but those were the only two I found as far as. Maybe there's some out there where it's like you don't use rush and these kind of things, or just, trying your personal best on speed running and those kind of things as well. So let's move on to Gemini Man. That's a cool outdoor level at night, and there's just something about nighttime and NES and what they do with a black background screen and the things they add to that in the foreground. I've mentioned before, there's something about it. It appeals to me. Another Proto Man drop in there. And this level, maybe they were planning on like an ice boss here, but it's very ice-like. You have like penguin enemies. But once you drop down, the level gets real crazy looking, where it's just bright. It's bright and shiny at the same time. Like it has like a gloss to it, the level itself, and it's changing colors like a techno show. It looks really cool. I like Gemini Man. I like the concept of Gemini Man, how he like splits apart and you're fighting him. But beat him, you get the Gemini laser, just the power-ups in general, having to design those. So I wonder if like on the design aspect, if they considered what some of the people were sending in for their power-ups, or if they were just kind of making their own ideas of how these robot masters would fight versus the drawings that were sent in. But I mentioned the mini bosses, I mentioned the power-ups and weapons. We'll move on to Needle Man, another outdoor cityscape / construction zone looking thing. That's like the most Mega Man level. I feel like you're sliding around on like the needles. This one's got like the porcupine robot enemies. You beat this guy. We'll hear some boss battle music as well. love that music. I love how the music, they have that tone at the beginning that like matches when the enemy drops in and you see his life meter go up. Like you hear that at the beginning of that song. Or the boss battle music. So it always hits me in a certain spot as well. So you get Needle Cannon from him and Rush Jet. So you're all done now. We're going to move on. We've got some new slash recycled levels. They're going to kick up the difficulty. We're going to talk about that. So we'll move right into some of the debated parts of this game between the Doc robots and Wily's Castle itself. So the Doc robots, usually the Mega Man games, it's known for it. It's part of it as far as you make it to like Wily's Castle and you beat all the robot masters at some point. And it's usually pretty easy because by then you've got every weapon and you know which ones to use on what. It's just a matter of how they then portray that for you. Are there breaks in between for you to restock anything? Are you just hitting all 8 or whatever it is in one go? In this case, the game does something new, and it does the Doc robots, they're called. And so once you beat those initial 8, it opens up 4 more levels that you've already beaten, but they're now different. They're updated, they're harder, they take away things like ladders and add things like more enemies and these kind of things. Then they also have the rehash bosses from Mega Man 2. So I actually love that. It's almost like a cameo in a movie or something when you go to fight these masters and you see your old Mega Man 2 sprites kind of float down the screen into them. And now you're fighting old Mega Man 2 bosses with updated moves and... but you still take them out like Mega Man 2 style. However you beat them back then, they're playing kind of the same. You got all these new moves as far as who these Mega Man 2 bosses are going to be weak against. So you're going to see from the old game, Metal Man, Quick Man, Air Man, Crash Man, Flash Man, Bubble Man, Wood Man, Heat Man, all those guys making an appearance. By the way, we don't get our first female robot master to Mega Man 9 or something. So that took them long enough. But it's changing up the end game. It's trying something new. I feel like the biggest complaint people have is that this section of the game with the Doc robots is pretty insanely harder than Wily Castle itself. So that was one of the things there. It's almost you make it through those and then you're just kind of cakewalking through Wily's Castle. But you take them all out. Then the screen, your screen select there goes just in the center is Proto Man, except he's called Break Man. So you have to fight him. And he does the same kind of things there. But eventually you make your way through Proto Man or Break Man. And then it's like, oh no, you think you beat the game and everything's fine, but Wily ran off with Gamma, just like we were talking about. And Wily's evil because of the bushy eyebrows. So every time you see, I don't know, he flicks them up and down, he does his little eyebrow thing, and you're like, that guy's an evil doctor. I don't know why we trusted him to begin with. So if you see a guy in a white lab coat with bushy eyebrows, I wouldn't trust him. So you make it now Wily's Castle, which always has the sweet map overlay. It's just a really good looking screen of Wily's Castle. Always reminded me of Mighty Max cartoon from back in the day. And it's cool because you start out outside, so it still kind of feels like you're working your way into this fortress. And again, it's that classic Mega Man construction level on the outside as you head in. And be prepared. So it's got Wily's logo all over the place. You got your Dr. W all over. Be prepared to use a lot of hard knuckles because that is the one that's pretty much effective against all of these now actual kind of mini bosses you have is for each level here. Your first one being whatever the word is, but he's the Turtle Maker. And it's like a water level, and which are always cool because it's just Mega Man just jumps really high, but they always put spikes at the top, so that's where that challenge comes in. But you got the Turtle Maker there. The next level, you're going to get the Yellow Devil version 2. Everybody remembers him from Mega Man 2. He's back for sure in this game. Not as tough. And again, it's just using that hard knuckle, hitting him in the eyeball. I'll try not to walk through details of all these bosses. It's just in my head, so I can't help but kind of explain it. This is where you get no refills in between, so you have to manage your stock like your weapon stock, your E-tanks a little bit better, but feel free to use some E-tanks. It's all good if you got 9 of them. Next, you go up against the holograms. That was always cool. It's just suddenly you got 3 Mega Man clones you're fighting. And I always like those kind of fights because it's like your Shadow Link fight. You're just kind of, as an adult, there's always something about fighting yourself. You know, we're all our own worst enemies, I think. So you fight him, but there is it's supposed to be random, but as far as who the real Mega Man enemy is, and apparently it's always the one that spawns up top. You can take him out pretty quick with like Top Man and all these things if you're good at it, just from watching speed runs and people who are better at video games than I am. Side note, does anybody else, when I play this game and you jump across the screen, I feel like you have to like jump when it does like the screen float to the other one. Same with like jumping through boss doors. I have to like jump. I don't just walk through screens. You got to jump so that your Mega Man's in his jump move as it switches to the other screen. That just feels Mega Man to me. But let's keep moving. Your next is going to be your boss rush. Like we were talking, the rinse and repeat. You know, watch your refills and stuff, because now you're just 8 masters back to back. A lot of hard knuckle. So you beat those, and next we move on to the big wily robot. And again, these aren't all just bosses in a row. You beat a level and you get to these mini bosses. And now this is the big supposed end game fight, because Wily's up there in his little dome and this giant robot thing. One of the best parts about these Mega Man games is Wily's giant robots, big giant robot sprites, and just Wily controlling them somehow. So the big wily robot, Wily Machine number 3. You can slide around it as the spikes go up. You can hit them from underneath. I mean, eventually you can use your snakes on top of him once you can reach his bubble. But you defeat him. The game's over. You did it. Wily's done for. He's defeated. But wait. Then this whole time you got Wily on the ground crying, and then his head just bops around on a spring. And you're like, oh no. So you figure out that was a robot Wily the whole time. Now the real fight begins, the Gamma fight. It does give you a chance to top off like all your energy and weapons, and then you go into a pretty easy final fight. So Gamma, it's like a 2-phase fight. You can use Rush in this fight a lot to get up there and hit him where he needs to be hit. Phase 2, you just annihilate him up in the top there. That's the Search Snake one, is Gamma. So what am I thinking of? Big Wily 3, what do you use? I think you can use, you use Shadow Blade and Hard Knuckle on, I think, Wily, on the big Wily robot. And then I think you can use like Top Spin even on Gamma once you reach the top, or Search Snake. But anyway, they're still not as tough as the Doc robot fights. But you beat him, and then suddenly everything's getting destroyed, everything's blowing up. You think Wily and Mega Man are going to bite it, just like we were saying earlier, but you're saved by Proto Man. Now you finally beat the game. And you get one of the best credit sequences ever. It's such a nostalgia trip for a nostalgia game. It just lists all the old Mega Man bosses. You see cool little pictures of them, right up to all the new bosses from this current game, until you make your way to your final screen of those credits, and where it shows robot number 0, or robot number 1 is Mega Man, but robot number 0, Proto Man, says it right there, Mega Man's brother. So that's cool. Proto Man's a cool sprite. He looks pretty good. I don't know if that's like the cape kind of thing he's got going on, but he looks really good. But anyway, we'll keep the Mega Man love going. We'll talk some comments. We'll talk some awards. Let's get into it.
Aren't you a little old for video games?
That man is playing Galaga. Thought we wouldn't notice, but we did.
Let's do all the things that you want to do.
Throw me a frickin' bone here. I'm the boss. Need the info.
I've lived in mortal terror that this would happen.
Get on with the ceremony.
All right, we got tons of comments. I found some good, some bad, because this is a debatable game as far as Mega Man 2 or 3. Those are the ones that seem to be talked about the most. We got Fantomi here. He says Mega Man 3 is easily the messiest of the classic series. It has mostly subpar weapons, a ton of lag and sprite flickering, a really bizarre boss order, and a very inconsistent difficulty after the initial 8 stages, with the Doc Robot stages being harder than the Wily stages. A lot of this can be traced back to its rush development cycle. That being said, it is still one of the most important games in the series. It introduced Rush, Proto Man, and the Slide, all of which became staples of the series for a damn good reason. The sprite work is as good as ever, most of the levels are fun to play and well designed, and the music, as always, is incredible. Seriously, Proto Man's whistle theme is one of, if not the best tracks the NES has to offer. Overall, some pretty low lows, but some very high highs. Definitely an interesting one to be sure. Also keep in mind, this is coming from someone who was born way after the game's original release, with the first time I played a Mega Man game being around August 2015 on the 3DS. So a young kid here, a younger Mega Man fan, or maybe you're older, you just didn't play Mega Man. Whatever it is, I like your critiques, and it's the same thing. A lot of people kind of have those critiques, but then you make it up right there when you're just talking about where this game fits in the legacy of Mega Man. You're complaining about the lag and sprite flickering, which again I see a lot of. There's collections out there now. You can take that sprite flicker and stuff off, but man, that is just like I was saying, it's like the imperfections watching like a VHS on a CRT, and these kind of things is like, it's just part of it. I would never take away the lag and sprite flicker. It's like, if you play it enough in these levels, it's like you expect it, and then that's just part of it. I mean, there's a part in this game where it has like 10 little bee robots on screen, and you're chugging, and things are flickering, and it's fine because it's what it's supposed to do, and you learn to work around it. So moving on, Danny P. Danger says, it's my favorite of the classic series. Among many other reasons, the addition of the slide, but the lack of the charge shot makes for the best boss fights. So again, yeah, a lot more movement, but you don't have that power. Because, once you get that power up blaster, you're walking into a boss fight charged up and just letting that thing go first shot. We got Smuggest Girl here. She says, unpopular opinion, but 3 is the worst Mega Man game. Weakest set of weapons, questionable level design, the dock stages, and more slowdown than any other Mega Man makes it the one I always regret coming back to. I'm sorry to hear that, but that last part says you always regret coming back to. So that tells me you just keep coming back to it and just torturing yourself a little bit. And I'm okay with that. Firestorm says, it's a great game, but I feel that it's overrated, not on the same level as Mega Man 2, because it feels rushed and the Doc robots don't even have unique stages. It did introduce a good boy to Mega Man. So everybody's finding their flaws, but they're finding these things they love about it too. You're talking about Rush. Everybody loves Rush. He is a good boy. And is Mega Man 2 overrated? Is Mega Man 3 overrated? That's just going to come down to your personal preference. Devin here says, I'm definitely biased since it was my first Mega Man game, but I adore Mega Man 3. It's far from perfect, but I can't help but enjoy the game whenever I replay it. Also, the soundtrack might just be the best in the franchise. Another debatable one between these soundtracks on Mega Man 2 and 3. I know the composer for Mega Man 2, I think, only got 2 songs done on this game before she left. I think it was her, and someone else came in. But still, it is some banging tracks for sure. Shorthawk says, my favorite classic series game and my second favorite NES game, only behind Super Mario Bros. 3. I think the Robot Master stages are amazing. The only issues I have are the Doc Robot stages being overly difficult, and then the Wily stages being too easy. So we talked about that. I like you ranking that right behind Super Mario Bros. 3. I'm okay with that. And also it was pre-Rush Jet nerf, so that's pretty cool. That is a thing with the Rush Jet in this game. His meter goes down as you're using him, but only when you're standing on him. So you can use Rush Jet and just keep jumping and kind of make it through a lot farther than you're supposed to be. We've got Sparkles here. He says, Mega Man 3 was a masterpiece. The music, the weapons, a hard man. Seriously, though, bringing back the previous Robot Masters was an amazing touch that I loved. This game has a special place in my heart. I like that. That's where this kind of falls in with me as well. It's just the overall encompassingness of the game with the music and the weapons. A lot of people say the weapons can be kind of subpar, but they're kind of hit or miss, and especially in this game where it was like rushed. maybe they would have had time to go back. It's a weird instant. Like they'll make walls that are breakable, but only with like the hard knuckles, so it makes that useful. But like I said, with like top spin being kind of not really useful in certain things. But we'll keep moving on. We'll get into some awards here. Award number 1 is going to be the Level 1-1 award. That's named after Mario 1-1 because it's just great. And this is going to be for the best looking level design. Because I love the artsy stuff. We'll talk the Gemini Man level. It's just a good mix of like the darks and colors like I talked about, like that black background sky. Needle Man, it's got that classic Mega Man outdoor construction kind of look. Hard Man does the same thing, like the rocks and the construction feel. And then Top Man, although not very Top Man themed, I like that mix of natural elements and electronic computer elements. In that case, it's got a lot of like green leaves, but a lot of computer digital kind of stuff going on. So not even how to play it, just kind of the best looking level. I feel like, and in this case, because it just screams Mega Man, it screams Rockman, I'm going to give this award to Hard Man. As I get through my sound buttons here, I wonder if my drum roll is going to work this week. We'll have to see. Award number 2, the Nintendo Power Glove Award. That's for the worst weapon or power-up in the game. A couple of critiques here. I just threw all the rush moves into one category, because maybe I feel like Jet, besides like the cheat with Jet, made things maybe too easy. The Rush Marine was more like useless besides the one stage. And like I said, Rush Coil, they just kind of give to you. So they might as well just give you a bigger jump or something, or at least make Rush Coil attainable from a boss. So you've got those. You got the top spin I talked about. It's just a weird move, even though I appreciate them making a physical move for Mega Man. What if they made like a move where, and they kind of do that later, where like you can jump like Mario and actually defeat enemies stepping on them, and maybe that's like a physical move for Mega Man. You've got the Gemini Laser. I guess I didn't really talk much about what these weapons do, but go play the game. You'll find out. But the Gemini Laser is like, it shoots a laser, but you can only have one shot on the screen. It bounces off walls and things. So while that thing is out, that sprite is out there bouncing around, you can't switch weapons and use another one. You couldn't even use an E-Tank if you wanted to. It kind of goes the same for the Spark Shot. If an enemy is electrocuted, you can't fire another thing. If you don't know, the standard Mega Man is like 3 buster shots on a screen at a time. And it's like that with a lot of his weapons. Only a certain amount of it can be on the screen before you can fire more things. And the Spark Shot itself is just really kind of weak. It doesn't do anything and can only hit certain enemies, and it won't damage any other ones. But we're going to give the worst weapon and power-up to Top Spin. I appreciate the effort, but I'm dying more than I am. Like, I guess you gotta be pretty good with when you're spinning and jumping into people with top spin. All right, here we go. Award number 3, because it's Mega Man, of course, it's Todovsky's Musical Appreciation Award for the best music in the game. We've got Needle Man. We've got the Mega Man 3 title. Skip it ahead for you here. Where is it? There we go. Oh man, that's good. All right, what else? We've got Top Man. And we've got Magnet Man. Sorry, I was supposed to stop playing that, and I keep letting it go. I love where that beat drops right there and gets kind of low. Anyway, the award is going to go to the main title. It takes a minute to pick up, but I like that drama. Let that thing play out. That's good. I had that as a ringtone at one point in my life. So that's it there. Let's talk ratings. What's it going to be here? Gameplay, visuals, music sound, awesomeness. Gameplay, all out of 10 here. Gameplay, you're getting a 9 out of 10 from me. just perfecting and balancing those new mechanics. You got the slide in there. My only gameplay issue is switching powers, which can't really be fixed in this Nintendo game. Later, you can use like L and R buttons and these kind of things in some of the remakes to do some easy power switching. That barely knocks my number down to a 9 at all. The slowdown people will mark down, but I'm just saying it. It's part of it, and I'd prefer it. And if I played without it, I would be like emotionally upset about it. And also just like the powers themselves. It's like what Mega Man games are. If you haven't played them, or you get your new Mega Man game, like what are these powers going to be? So, you weren't spoiling yourself. You weren't doing it. Maybe you were reading and, like I said, Nintendo Power or something. But other than that, you're beating these, and it's that screen, and it's like you're going to see that weapon name. So it's that screen. Your color changes. You see your weapon name, and you're like, I can't wait to try that out. So I love that in this game. Whether or not people think some of it, you're always going to have some subpar Mega Man weapons. They're not all going to be metal blades. Visuals, 10 out of 10. I don't care. The backgrounds look great. The sprites look great. All these levels are unique, whether or not they're matching their Robot Masters. You got great platforming left to right. You got vertical levels. They look great. I can't think of something that looks bad in a Mega Man game. Every single enemy sprite, every background, every Dr. Wily map layout. Maybe not the title screen in this one, but you get it. You're getting a 10 out of 10. Music and sound, you're getting a 10 out of 10. Let's play some more. 10 out of 10. I can't even say anything more. I wish if I ever had time to research more who these composers are, send them postcards and love letters, send them candy, and send them 3D prints of Mega Man, and just tell them how much I appreciate everything they did back then. Moving on to awesomeness, 10 out of 10. Sorry, I just love Mega Man. It's just such a difference. Platforming with Mario or Sonic or all these other things to make a unique platformer, because you had your Mario baseline, and from there, what can we do to these games to make them unique? You end up with things like Castlevania and its darker themes. You end up with Mega Man with just a lot more challenge. Like I said, Sonic, he wants to go fast. It's just that you get these niche games, you pick a platformer and give them a gimmick, see what they can do. A game like Contra, it's a run and gun, but you're still kind of platforming. So it's, that formula was there. We want to read a book left to right. We're going to play a video game left to right. And, where can we go from there? So 10 out of 10, where do we rank? And does this game rule? Really? I just don't think my drum roll button works anymore. Let's do this. Does this game rule? It rules. This game was super rushed, no pun intended. But for a rushed, unpolished game, it's like it's still a legacy game everyone talks about. I played this game. I didn't know it was rushed. I didn't know things weren't finished and people did this or did that. It's part of its legacy. It just goes to show like how much they mastered this Mega Man formula, that this rushed, half-finished game is like a masterpiece to some people like me. And it's just, I can't wait to keep doing more Mega Man games. I love that they've got games like 9 and 10. They brought back the retro style where we can just get in there. Some of the newer Mega Man games, I complain about the intro in this one, but it's like, what is it, like Mega Man 7? It's like the story, it's like, okay. Like every time I replay it, you got to go through like 10 minutes of story. Whereas like Mega Man X is cool because it's like a story, but as you're playing, where you begin and like the city being destroyed and stuff in that game. But anyway, that's it for this week's show. That's it for Mega Man this week. Keep listening to some of that music, though. Go play some Mega Man. It's either like torture or it's therapy. but it's like a good balance for your brain. Just 10 or 15 minutes getting some of that music. Thanks again for listening to this week's show as I make my way out of here. I appreciate the support. Again, just send me messages. Say hi. Let me know what games you like. Let me know if there's any format of the episodes you want me to switch up. You got comments you want me to read, I'll do that too. Send me an email. Stick with me as I get through these busy holidays. I'll be here playing games, talking games, anything else I can do to avoid being a functional adult. I hope you all do the same. Thanks again. Have a great week. Rush, get us out of here. There's a Proto Man over there.